Okay, so yes, good morning, students. So now we will start with our lesson number two. Uh, like we will start with the second part of our chapter, combustion and flames, right? So first we will start by recalling that what we studied in our previous class. We studied about combustion, the process of combustion, that is a chemical process, and we studied about the different substances that are combustible and non-combustible. And then we studied about the different conditions that are required for a substance to be combustible. So this was all the summary that of the previous class. So now in front of you there is a picture and you have to identify and recognize what you can see in the picture. Yes, yes, you can write your answers in the chat box. As you can see in this picture, there is a matchbox and matchsticks, right? So now I have a question regarding it. So what will happen, right? Like this matchstick, it does it burns on its own, or we have to put some efforts to make it burn or make it combustible? So yes, okay, yes, I can see. So yes, it doesn't burn on itself. We have to put some effort for burning it, right? So now, yes, so now we will study in more detail what these effort are called and what is the temperature where a substance reaches from where it will catch on fire or it will become combustible substance, right? So now we will move on to our next slide, and here we will study about the ignition temperature. So ignition temperature, as we discussed in our previous class also, ignition temperature is the lowest temperature, right? Okay, so in this definition, you have to mind some words that are very important and the keywords that are written in the red color and bold letters. So ignition temperature is what? It is the lowest temperature at which a substance catches fire. Is called as its ignition temperature. Just as when we are lighting a matchstick with the help of a matchbox, so it will the friction will be there, right? So if we are lighting the matchstick again and again, so there will be some rise in temperature due to the friction, right? So the lowest temperature at which it will catch fire will be called as its ignition temperature. So this was all about the ignition temperature and its definition. So now we will move on ahead and see some more details, right? Now comes the curiosity question of Bujo, right? So let's see what is the curiosity question this time. So why is a blanket wrapped around a person whose clothes caught fire? So now if we have to discuss this question, okay, I will give you 5 seconds to think, and then we will have a little bit of discussion on this question. This time we will have a discussion, right? Okay, so for 5 minutes you can think, or you can also write your answers in the chat box. So yes. Okay, so yes, as you all knew, in our previous class we studied, for a substance to burn or combust, it requires oxygen, or it requires certain conditions. So one condition was it requires oxygen. So whenever we are wrapping a blanket around a person who catches fire, we are cutting off the oxygen supply to that fire, right? So if oxygen is cut, then the fire will not be like causing much harm, and it will like exhaust easily. So this is one of the reason why we are wrapping the blanket around the fire. And if you think there are more reasons, you can write your answers in the comment box below. And so now we will move on to our next question. So right now we discussed what ignition temperature is and how combustible things they catch on to the fire. So now, yes, you have to answer like what is ignition temperature according to you? Yes, yes, we can say that ignition temperature is the lowest temperature which required by a substance to catch fire. Yes, okay, yes, you all are right. So I think you have gotten the concept of ignition temperature. So now we will move on ahead and see some more topics regarding this chapter, right? Okay, now we will move on ahead. Okay, so now there is a question in front of you, that is, does every combustible substance catches fire at the same rate? Okay, for this I will give you an example. What we will do is, like, okay, if I take this mask, right, and if I take comb, okay, so, and if I burn both of these things, right, so who will burn faster? Will this comb burn faster, or this mask will burn faster? You have to write your answers in the chat box. Okay, so most of you are writing that it will be this cloth mask. It will burn faster than this plastic comb. And why do you think so? Because different, yes, because different substances have different combustible properties. Some burn very easily and some burn very late. Yes, okay. They don't catch fire at the same rate, but yes, ultimately they will burn. Some will take their time and some will burn very easily. So that's why we are always like made aware by our adults that whenever there is a fire near us, we should keep all our like the combustible substances away from it. We should keep combustible substances away from the fire, like the petrol, the diesel, the kerosene. That is why the adults, they don't allow the children to handle such things, because they know it will catch fire very easily. This is one of the reasons, right? Because they catch fire at a very high rate, very fast. They will catch fire. So now we will move on ahead and we will see today's topic. So yes, I want someone to read the topic that is written. Okay. Yes. So the topic that we are about to read now is the importance of ignition temperature for burning. Like, why is the ignition temperature so important for a substance to burn, right? So a combustible substance cannot catch fire or burn as long as its temperature is lower than its ignition temperature. So what the statement means is, if like if we take a combustible substance, like if I take this, and if I if like my laptop right now is hot, right? And if I put this uh, cloth mask above my laptop, it will not catch fire, even though the laptop is hot. So that means that this laptop's temperature has not reached the ignition temperature for it to catch fire. So this means that for a substance, for a combustible substance to burn or catch fire, it requires the minimum temperature, that is the ignition temperature, right? So, and this, like these substances, as you can see, the woods and the pieces of wood and the petrol, all these substances have different ignition temperature. That's why this is the reason that they burn. Like this is the reason they burn. Yes, this is the reason that they burn at different rates. So now you know the reason for combustible things burning at different rates, because everything, every substance or combustible substance have a different ignition temperature for its burning. So this is the main reason, right? Okay, so now we will move on ahead. As you can see, yes, here. It is essential for a substance to reach ignition temperature to burn. The statement says it because we just performed an activity, right, where I took this mask and I kept on a hot laptop, but it did not burn. Why? Because the heat emitted from the laptop was not enough for it to burn. Means the heat of the laptop has not reached its ignition temperature for this mask to burn. So this was one of the example. So now Bujo has a curiosity question for you, and that is, how do forest fire takes place? Wow, this is a very interesting question. How, like from your side, I need some answers. Like, how do you think this happens? Forest fires. Okay, I can see the yes. People sometimes also burn the one, if one tree get burns, every other tree catches fire. Yes, but what else reasons would be there? Okay, so this is also related to the ignition temperature. Like in summers, when the temperature is too hot and the temperature reaches and the temperature of the burning wood reaches the ignition temperature with the atmospheric temperature, then there will then the trees will instantly catch fire, and then this will cause the forest fire to happen. So this is one of the main reason why the forest fire they take place. And if you want to give some more answers, you can write in the chat box and we will discuss it later on, right? Okay, so now we will move on ahead and see one question, and that is, which one will have a lower ignition temperature? Indicate with this, or this sign you can indicate, right? Petrol or pencil, which will burn faster? Okay, petrol will burn faster. Yes. Okay, so now in these case, paper and matchbox, you can write your answers in the comment box or you can speak also. Like paper or matchbox, who will burn faster? What do you think? Paper or matchbox? They equal, I guess. Equal. They both need efforts to burn. I think no, both will burn at a same rate. I guess both will burn, right? Or the third option is wood or clothes. Wood or clothes, who will burn faster? Okay, the clothes will burn faster, right? So this was the answer for these questions. And if you are not clear with the certain answers, then you can perform these activities at home also. But please perform it under the supervision of the adult. Yes, so now we will move on ahead and we will see some more questions and more activities we will perform regarding the concept. So now you have to list a few things that catch fire very easily. Around you, you can bring some things like, yes, I have to show you one thing. Okay, so now I'm showing you something on your screen. You have to identify what this is. Okay. Yes, we have used it a lot during our this COVID period. It is used for like sanitizing the hands, right? Yes, it is a sanitizer. So will the sanitizer catch fire easily? Yes, it will catch fire easily. Why? Because it has some alcohol content in it. And we all know alcohol catches fire very easily. It is a very combustible substance, right? So yes, this was all about. Yes, and few things like water we drink, will it catch fire? No, it will not catch fire. It is a non-combustible substance. Okay, what else we can take? We took this comb. Yes, it is a combustible substance, but it will catch fire a little bit slower than this sanitizer, right? So it will take time. So yes, these are the different substances. You can also show different substances or write the names of different substances in chat box who will catch fire and how fast they will catch fire. You can compare these two different substances and then you can give your answer based on the comparison. I will give you 10 seconds for writing your answers in the chat box. Then we will move on ahead. Okay. Yes, I can see the right responses. Yeah, like someone is writing, coal can burn very easily, catch fire very easily. Okay, wood also catches fire easily. Okay, yes, petrol, diesel, fuel, yes, they will catch fire very easily. Paper also catches fire very easily, and coal tar also catches fire very easily. And the LPG gases also they catch fire very easily. The metal things they don't catch fire that easily. The glass things also they don't catch fire easily. Yes, you all answered it correctly. So now we will move on ahead and we will see some more details. Like as you saw that these substances, right? Like this sanitizer, you all knew till now that it is a highly combustible substance because it catches fire easily. But there is another name for it. And what is that name? We will discuss it right now. Okay, so now we will move on to our next slide. Yes, so now I want you all to repeat the name after me. So what are the substances that catches fire very easily? Or are the inflammable substances. So what are the inflammable substances? Inflammable substances are the substances which have very low ignition temperature and can easily catch fire with a flame. This also will catch fire very easily with the help of a flame, right? And it is called as the inflammable substances. And the other examples of inflammable substances are, you can see in the blackboard, in the PPTs also, there are different pictures like the fuel, the petrol, diesel, kerosene. These are also inflammable substances, highly inflammable. Then comes the LPGs, CNGs. These are also inflammable. And then comes the alcohol, the same alcohol that we put in the sanitizer, but it is more refined one, right? So it will still catch fire very easily. So these were the definition of inflammable substances and some of the examples of inflammable substances. So now we will move on ahead and see some curiosity question by Bujo. So now let's see what the question Bujo wants to ask is. You have to list some of the inflammable substances. So yes, this is very easy now. You can write your answers in the chat box. Yes, I will give you 5 seconds, then we will discuss the answers, right? Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. So some of the inflammable substances are, yes, you are writing petrol, diesel, kerosene. Okay, very good. Alcohol is there. LPGs is there. Yes, very good. So now I think you all are clear with the concept of inflammable substances. Now we will move ahead and see some more questions, right? The first question is, the heat supplied to the paper cup is transferred by water. Transferred to water by which of these processes? For this, you have to answer in the chat box, and then I will first time, for the first question, I will give you 5 seconds, and then we will move on to our second question, right? If you have any doubt, you can ask in the chat box. If not, then we will move on ahead. Okay, I can see right responses. Yes. Okay, so now my second question is, the substance which have dash ignition temperature can very easily catch fire with a flame and are called inflammable substances. So what will be the answer of it? You have to write in the chat box again. Okay, I will still give you time. Okay, so yes, I can see the right response. It is the low ignition temperature. So now we will move on ahead and we will summarize. So before summarizing, I want you all to answer one of my questions, that is, do you have any doubt in the concept we just studied? If yes, you can write your doubts in the chat box. And if no, then we will move on ahead and summarize our today's topic. Okay. So now we will summarize. So let's summarize it. So now you have to define ignition temperature. What according to you is ignition temperature? Ignition temperature is the lowest temperature required for a substance to catch fire. Yes, very good. Okay, so now extend the use of ignition temperature to real or daily life activities. Like, yes, the burning of wood, coal, petrol, diesel, these are all examples, right? So now you have to explain the importance of ignition temperature for burning of substances with appropriate examples. Yes, if we know the ignition temperature, we will know the rate of burning of substance, if it will burn faster or it will burn slower. So that way we will know which from what substances are highly inflammable and we need to keep them away from the fire, and which substances are a little bit lower towards the combustion process, and yes, they are safe to use in many places. So you can, or you also have to give your examples. Okay, you can give the examples in the chat box. Okay, so now the last point is, you have to define inflammable substances with appropriate examples. Okay, you can write the definition in the chat box. Till the time, we will discuss some examples. Like, yes, there was the sanitizer that we just discussed. There were alcohols, petrol, diesel, LPGs. So these are highly inflammable substances. So yes, so this ends up our summary. So now we will see some homework, and homework is, you have to solve these two questions, and then the two questions are, first question is, it is difficult to burn a heap of green leaves, but dry leaves catches fire easily. You have to explain it. Okay, you have to first think and then explain it. Why does this happen? And second question is, why do you have to use paper or kerosene oil to start fire in wood or coal? So now you have to think for both of these questions and then write your answers, right? Then you have to perform this activity. What you have to do is take a piece of burning wood on an iron plate or tawa, cover it with a glass jar or a tumbler or a transparent plastic jar. Observe what happens. Does the wood stop burning after some times? And can you think of reason why it stops burning? If yes, you have to write all your observations and your reason for your observation, right? You have to, and the important thing that you have to keep in mind is you have to perform this activity under the observation of your parents. So yes, thank you everyone. If you have any doubt, please ask in the chat box and we will discuss in our later class, tomorrow's class. So thank you and have a nice day. We will meet again in our next class.